Hi guys, welcome back to Podtail Podcast. Today we are recording from Eka Hotel. So if you're in Eldoret, Eka is the best place to be at for fine dining, drinks with the girls, or a quick afternoon lunch with your friends. They also have a wonderful gym and spa. So check out Eka. And my name is Shalom Wanjiru. I'm your host for today's episode, and I'm joined by two lovely individuals. I'm going to let them tell us about themselves and what they do.
Hi guys, my name is Makena Elosi Mutea. I'm a medical psychology student, currently aspiring medical psychologist in the future. I'm a part-time model, sometimes I do that, and I'm also a mental advocate. That's all. Yeah.
Hi everyone,
Hi.
my name is Anik, or in full Kuboi Nicodemus. I'm a consultant psychologist. I do consultancy around in most hospitals, mainly at Eldoret Oncology Associates, at Eldoret Hospital, at Oak Tree, Rafa. I also do part-time research. I work as a research assistant at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. And I look forward today to talk about grief with you guys.
Okay, so today we're talking about grief, and I am joined by medical psychologists. So I feel like they're the best people to have this conversation with. Okay, so to start our conversation, grief. What is grief? uh, Medically and also outside.
So, from my experience and my understanding, grief is that moment that we are going through loss. And maybe when you lose someone, that moment when you are coming to terms with the loss, that period is the period that I understand as a grieving period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to me, I'll term grief as a state of mental distress that someone experiences in response to like a loss. It can be either loss, any type of loss. And another thing, it can also I can also like put it in terms of it being individual, like individual to a certain person or personalized like to that specific person, because it's different for everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so basically it's about loss, right? So I'd like you guys to tell me types of grief, medically and also outside, because dealing with medics is quite interesting.
So there are different types of grief that people encounter or go through each and every day. So the first common type of grief is what we call anticipatory grief.
Yeah.
So that anticipatory grief is the type of grief that we anticipate. Okay, we are waiting for death to come. So death is on the way coming, so we are anticipating it.
Okay.
Then you also have another type of grief that we call normal grief. Normal grief is a grief that we go through maybe daily. We lose things in life. You know, grief, sometimes there are many forms of loss. So there's that normal loss, normal way of grieving. We normally call it normal grief. Then you also have complicated grief. So that is the most dangerous one. That is maybe sometimes you have had this loss, you have had the other loss, and you're not able to process it. So when you're going through a series of losses, we normally call it a complicated grief, a grief that you're not able to resolve it. Yeah.
Okay, so away from the medical world, and had like the disenfranchised grief. This is the type of grief, or in terms of having a loss that is not acknowledged by other people. For example, I lose my cat to either circumstances, and people don't see that as like that's something, and then everyone is like that's something you're not supposed to be grieving about. Or uh, let's say an estranged like partner that can also be disenfranchised. And in certain circumstances in the medical field, I've been to like mother and baby, right? And I feel like even sometimes miscarriage can be like a disenfranchised grief for some people, because you find like there are mothers who have lost their babies from 21 weeks, 10 weeks and stuff. And then you find like their partners or people around them do not acknowledge the fact that this is a loss, as in they're like, you're not supposed to grieve about this particular thing just because this was a fetus and not like necessarily a child. So I feel that can also be classified as disenfranchised grief. And then I've seen like this type of grief where you lose multiple things in a short span of time. I would call it like cumulative grief. Yeah, yeah, I'll call it that way. That's it for now.
Okay, so I'll pass the microphone to him. Okay.
Okay.
Disenfranchised grief. That's a new word for me. Okay, so we're going to get back to that real quick. I just wanted to ask you guys, when you first learned about the stages of grief academically, how did it compare to actually living through grief?
So I think as a student, I did my degree and I've also done my master's. As a student, my understanding was grief was like it's a stage. Like I have to start from being shocked.
Yeah.
I get into maybe I start now, but maybe getting into issues to denial. I get through issues to do with bargaining,
Bargaining.
anger, and maybe depressive state,
Yeah.
or maybe coming to accept. And that was my thought.
We thought it's
Yeah,
linear.
it's lenient, but
Yeah.
after seeing clients, things have been totally different.
Yeah.
Because you might realize that people grieve differently.
Yeah.
There are those people you get them like, okay, the loss has just happened, but somebody is still in denial. You get there's another person already who is there already, at least has already accepted, even telling us when are we going to remove the body. You see, so it's different. Actually, practically, it's totally different. It's not like the way we learned in school.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my take at the moment.
Okay, so for you, for her, I want to ask you, what didn't textbooks prepare you about grief?
I feel what textbooks did not like prepare me about grief, now like being like uh, immersed like in the fire of the real reality, is that people have progress, like there's progress and there is regression. As in, you don't expect just because like you've seen someone and you expect them based on the interventions that you've taken they will like move forward. It doesn't mean that they won't regress, because you find like most people when it comes to like these things, that things grief and other types of other types of illnesses and other things in terms of mental illnesses, it's that people regress. As in, it's not like mandatory for people to like progress, as in, cause it's non-linear. As in, these things are, as in, you feel like sometimes you're like, I feel if I do the therapy and the drugs are there, the everything is there, the anxiety is sorted, everything is sorted, you think that that is the end of everything.
Yeah.
But you realize that that's just the beginning. As in, you'll keep dealing with other types of things because they are triggers. You just cannot expect someone to be better just because they are better at that particular point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's a process. So there's progress and regression. And it's not linear. You don't have to go through the stages of grief in order. You can bounce back within them together. Okay, so we were talking about disenfranchised grief. So I'd like to ask you guys if you're comfortable sharing. Have you ever experienced grief at any point of your life, especially the disenfranchised one?
This is what I'm going to say. As in, sometimes I feel like sometimes grief has to be significant to someone, so that like there has to be a significant loss. And if I'm just being sincere, I've had my share of losses that are not like so significant.
Yeah.
But and for that reason, like I wouldn't say like I've had like a significant loss. So like it's hard for me to like put myself into the shoes of someone who has like had that first hand significant loss. Yeah.
For my case, I think I've had a significant loss.
Yeah.
Ideally, each and every day I lose patience. Yeah, so sometimes I attach myself to
To
these patients.
patients,
Yeah, I
yeah.
attach myself to them. And sometimes when maybe you have a lot of expectation in them, especially those who are starting treatment, then suddenly they get complication, then they die. So I think the difficult part is letting go.
Letting go, yeah.
Yeah, letting go is the difficult part, because most of us sometimes we tend to attach ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at, especially when you look, she was talking about a model. It was brought in by Murray. That model of grief where you go forward, then you come back. You go forward, then you come back. You see,
Yeah.
so for most of my patients, I've realized that sometimes when you lose them, especially when you had a lot of expectation, you also grieve as a person.
Okay.
You see, and you want to go through these stages, you want to rush them, but sometimes even it's not possible. So you need to go and see another therapist also to work on you.
So there's like layers of therapists.
Exactly.
Like my therapist has a therapist. Has
Exactly,
a therapist.
exactly. Because you know, at the end of the day, we're also human.
Yeah.
That's the reality. We have feelings, we have emotions. You see, we are parents, so those are things that happen.
Okay. I think for me, I'd say I've gone through different forms of grief, and like the one that is is usually a bit hard to deal with is like grieving past versions of myself, you know? Like who I am right now is not who I was last year in December. Sometimes you look at that, you don't want to go there, but it's still a grieving process. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, do you think there's such a thing as good grief? Can grief be good?
Okay, what I can say about that, okay, there's no good or bad grief,
Yep.
but sometimes the grieving can be made at least easy
Mm.
if somebody is maybe prepared, or if somebody is taken through those stages of grief. So what you need to understand is that there are two sets of emotions.
Two sets of emotions.
There are those emotions that are natural.
Mhm.
Natural emotions are those emotions that we express each and every day. You
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
then you have the other set of emotions that are manufactured.
Manufactured.
So during the grief process, if you're able to express the natural emotions,
Okay.
like I'm sad, I can cry,
Mm.
I can talk about it, I'm in denial. If you're able to express those emotions, there's that natural healing. You see,
Okay.
like your mind is just like this bottle. It's just like a Coca-Cola bottle,
Okay.
and it has been shaken. You see, it has been shaken with the loss. So what you need to do is to just open it up so that it can settle down. But some of us, we normally get what we call manufactured emotion. So manufactured emotion, those emotions that if mom was there, or if this was there, if things could have gone this way, then this will not have happened. You see, so in the process we get stuck, and that's how we develop now mental problems. Yeah.
Okay. Because
Okay.
you've spoken about that,
Yeah.
there's a question that says,
Mm.
is there a point where grief stops being adaptive and it becomes something else entirely? Since you've spoken about manufactured
Yeah.
and natural emotions,
Exactly.
can grief stop being adaptive, then it
Yeah.
becomes something else entirely?
Yeah, exactly. So our understanding about grief, and this is okay, this is according to books and also maybe according to even outside there,
Yeah.
we are supposed to express those natural emotions within a span of 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we are supposed to express those emotions within a span of 2 weeks. You see, but some of us get stuck. You see, so when you get stuck, when you see like maybe like I'm sad and the sadness is lasting more than 2 weeks, now we're talking about now depression. We are having those negative emotions. We are sad. Sometimes you are hopeless, and it is lasting more and more. That's when now it becomes a problem. And when it becomes a problem, there are significant now symptoms that we'll see in this person. You
Is
see.
there something like prolonged grief disorder?
Yeah. There's prolonged grief. You know, what you need to understand as far as grief is concerned, it's a loss. It's like you're taking something out of you. You see, and you have to live without that thing. That thing, you see. So most people don't come to terms with it and accept it. You see. So most of them, as the way my colleague was saying, they go into regression. You see, they just get stuck there at that moment, and that's now when we get cases of complicated grief. Yeah. So complicated grief is a grief that you are not able to deal with it. Then sometimes, with the life, it also accumulates. Today you lose this thing, tomorrow you lose the other thing. So it accumulates, and when it accumulates, that now when we get now more problems. So you'll find that these people will be struggling with issues maybe to do with sleep. They'll struggle with issues to do with appetite. You'll see this now. Now you'll be telling now this is not grief. This is something else.
Okay, so the best thing to do is to completely feel the natural emotions.
Yeah, the best thing to do is to express emotion. So the problem with us is sometimes we make a lot of assumptions that because I'm not crying, I'm not grieving. Because maybe I'm not talking, maybe I'm not doing this, I'm not grieving. That is not true. We grieve differently. So the best thing that you can do, at least for grief, it's at least go through therapy.
Okay.
I think maybe we'll talk about that when we reach there, but therapy is very, very important during grief. And there are several types of treatment modalities that we do for that. Yeah, maybe if I can talk about that.
Okay, I'll give you the opportunity. McKenna, do you have something to say on that?
I'll just say that sometimes people like when sometimes people like overthink like over and over. That is rumination.
Yeah.
As in you're always like troubling, like you have troubling emotions of like thoughts about like the circumstances that took place for that specific thing to occur, that loss of yours. As in, I'll just say mostly it's basically about rumination of thoughts, and then yeah, and being just persistent, having like persistent emotions, like instead of like dealing, some people, instead of dealing with the emotions, it's like they pick the emotions, put them in a corner, and let them sit there instead of like going through the emotions. Yeah.
And one thing I've been learning is that when you do that, when you put your emotions in a corner, when you suppress them, they usually come out in ways that terrible ways that you didn't expect them to
Maybe
come.
I can talk about that. You know, our mind is just like a balloon. So each and every day we blow it, you see.
Okay.
So the more we blow it, the problem with grief is one thing. There's something that McKenna has mentioned. We have what we call reminders.
Yeah.
You see, reminders. So like today I don't want to think about this, then a child maybe reminds me about the mom or somebody, or maybe I see the cloth that these people left me behind, something like that, you see. So the more we see it, we still blow the balloon. So the more we blow it, we reach that the elasticity. Then it just burst. And that's where we have a lot of problems.
Okay, she mentioned something about rumination, and as someone who's new, I believe I'm neurodivergent. Maybe I should book a session so that you can diagnose me.
Yeah, very, very important.
But anyway, so I think like for people who are neurodivergent, rumination is something that it's not easy to scratch off. And so you're going through grief and you're fixated on something for a long period of time. And sometimes you even get attached to that thought. Sometimes you're not attached to the grief, you're attached to the thought of the grief. So how can you like manage that?
So in terms of management, there are many therapies that work well with grief. There are many therapies. Personally, I've done two that are good. Mostly we believe that during grief, we normally get stuck somewhere. You see. So there's a therapy that I'm doing at the moment. It's called cognitive processing therapy.
CBT.
Not CBT.
Sorry.
It's another version of CBT. Okay. It's called cognitive processing therapy. You see, it helps you process those thoughts. You see, it's a good therapy. We normally do 12 sessions. We do at least 2 sessions in a week. So this therapy works with the assumption that we normally develop trauma because we get stuck somewhere.
Right.
You see, so for us to deal with it, we need to go with the client in that place where they are stuck. Then we move with it. We pull them out of it. Out of it. Is it? Okay. Are you getting it?
Yeah, I'm getting.
So through it, there are many techniques that you do. Several techniques. You can do what we call journaling.
Yeah.
You can do what you call ABC skill. You can do that where the client is able to identify the activating event, the belief system, and then the consequences of the failings. You see, you can do what you call thought restructuring with it also. You can do thought restructuring. You can do changing thoughts and belief technique, where you use what we call thinking questionnaire. It's a good therapy. So you can do that for grief.
Okay.
You can also do a therapy called EMDR. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. You can also do that. It can also work well for you. It works with the assumption that before we develop mental illness ama this problem, there are things that we saw, then we store it in our in our memories. So if we can use our eyes to process it, then that thing can get out of that place. You see, you can also do CBT, the one that you have talked about. Although CBT at the moment, people talk a lot of things about CBT, but the results are really good. I've done CBT. If you're doing a shorter version, you can do 8 sessions, or you can do the longer version, 21 sessions. You see, so with CBT, you're working on those thoughts. You're changing the viewpoints. You're changing something from what is maladaptive to something that is adaptive. Sinisa. Now, for you to attain that, you can do what you call cognitive restructuring. You can do cognitive distraction. There are many techniques. Many.
So my question with therapy, we all know the price of therapy is not very friendly. So like not everyone has access to therapy. So what would you comment about that? Because all the solutions you've given us include therapy, and mostly therapy includes a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why we have things like podcast. You see, we come and talk about it. We talk about grief and everything. Other than that, I think right now we have things to do with insurance. You can get an insurance. Like most patients that I see, they use insurance. They don't pay cash, just an insurance. Another thing that you can do is something that is practical, especially for grief. There are things that you can do. You don't have to come to therapy to do this. One of the things that you can do is just sharing and talking about it. You don't have to talk to a professional. Just as long as you have somebody who can listen to you, somebody who cannot judge you, you can do that. You can just talk about it. Another thing that you can do what you call journaling. And that is a just easy way. You just write down, what does this person mean to me? What does this loss mean to me? How has it affected me? How do I see life? You can just write down. That is easy. You don't have to pay somebody to do that. You just need a pen and a piece of paper. Something else that you can also do, we can also do recording. It's a good thing. You can do the recording with your phone. Just record your emotions. You see, you can also find other things that also bring that positive emotions. You see, there are people who have things like hobbies. You can develop things, just things that can make you feel good, because most people who are grieving, they're very, very sad. You see, so what you can do, you just want to see things that you can do that can help them. But ideally, sometimes, especially when you're dealing with things to do with complicated grief, you cannot solve it on your own. That is a fact. So you can come, we see how we can help you out. But ideally, especially for complicated grief, we normally do this a technique. She will tell you it's called empty chair technique. You cannot do that on your own. You need to do it with a therapist, where we assume that is because she was talking about something very, very important, that some of this, when you are grieving, there are those unfinished business. Like I was to go and see my mom and tell my mom this, then I'm told my mom died, you see, so I feel guilty. There are those things that I have not addressed. So when you come, we do this therapy, we'll be doing an empty chair technique. So we'll be using like 3 chairs model, where I'm sitting here, you are seated there, and that chair is your mom. Then you can process it.
Aside from grief and everything, as a doctor, do you think that you guys should be giving back to the community a little bit, just a little bit?
Yeah. It is true. We normally do pro bono services. I personally do it. I normally do medical camps, where they invite me. I also do sometimes just community activities where I'm called, I talk to them. I do pro bono services. But sometimes now the problem with therapy, when you're doing it in a form of pro bono, the client is not motivated. You see, because therapy is not just walk in the park as maybe you think about. It's not that way. It involves a lot of assignment, giving a client a lot of assignment, you see. And when you're doing this, at least when you are paying something, you're motivated to do it. You see, you are goal driven. You see, but if you're getting things for free, sometimes even you're not motivated. That's also a reality about life. But the good thing is with me, I normally give that package once in a while.
We can tell people on our podcast once in a while.
The keyword is once in a while. Sometimes I see clients for free. Like sometimes I'm called to see clients. I go to that hospital. The client has no money at all. I cannot leave that client. I'll just have to see the client. And also sometimes maybe I work with society, with the communities around. Sometimes they just call me to see these people. I just see them without charging anything.
Okay, so for you, like to integrate grief and spirituality kidogo. Do you think that faith worsens grief, or makes it like takes the load off? What do you think about faith and grief?
Okay, before I answer that question, for the people who would like to get like services basis on therapy and stuff, currently there is ongoing like survey and it's helping people through mental bridges. It's like a for yeah, it's like an app something. It's like an app, not like app something. It's an app. You can get like therapy firsthand online. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's currently like functional, but if you want like to get help, they are so helpful. Yeah. When it comes to spirituality, I believe that sometimes in terms of spirituality and spiritual like aspects and grief, I see when I look at grief, I see it like it's a crisis, but at the same time, it can be something that like puts us like it's like a pedestal towards like finding something that is higher. Because you find there are people who grieve, and in that moment of grieving, you find like they become more spiritual because they are like trying to source for higher power, for God himself or something of that sort. It's like they are trying to like connect, like why me? And in that moment of asking why me, you find like most people become more spiritually inclined, and they might either like better their faith better, or they might actually not like they might like actually like move away from the faith basis. So I see grief in terms of spirituality like a two-way traffic. It's either you become more inclined towards being spiritual, or you turn out your back like away from spirituality and spiritual matters. Yeah.
Okay.
Something
Yeah,
on
you
that,
can add.
So we have a therapy that is taught in theology. It's called transpersonal therapy.
Transpersonal.
Yeah, transpersonal therapy. In this therapy, we use the Bible.
Mm.
Yeah. We use the Bible where we're able to read verses together with the client. Then we get the interpretation, what it means to them. So it is a reality that as much as we're educated, we're not able to explain more about death because we've not gone there and come back. Come back. So sometimes I think to some extent from my experience with my clients, I think grief and spirituality, I think as far as spirituality is concerned, people who are grief, they tend to be very, very close to God. Yeah, actually it inclines you close to God for most of my clients. In fact, sometimes whenever I go to do these sessions to do with grief, you'll see the family telling me, Daktari, before we start, kindly let's pray. Let's pray. You see, so we normally believe that in spirituality that when we die, we'll meet again. Again, you see, as long as we subscribe to that, because I also don't want to impose my values to my clients.
Very, very true.
Yeah, but if you subscribe to that, you realize that there's those teaching that talks about death, revelation, coming back again. There are things like that. So when you go through, a person who is able to do transpersonal therapy can really help there. But
help,
but I'm not specialized.
It's okay. Let's take a deep breath because imeanza kuwa moto.
Yeah, it's
getting deep. Okay. So on to my next question. How do you think unprocessed grief shows up in relationships and friendships?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, it really manifests. Sometimes maybe when you lose somebody, and that maybe that person was maybe your father. Some people will go and look for a partner who is like their father. You see, so you can see that this person has not loved this person because of the person this person is. Instead, this person is looking for the father. So when this person is not going to fit those roles of the father, the problem that comes with that now, it brings a lot of issues in the relationship. And personally, I've dealt with that. There's a client that I'm seeing right now, and this client lost the parent. Then when this person lost the parents, during that grief, you're lonely, you are alone. Then this guy came in. You see, this guy was reminding this guy of this lady of the
Or the
of the
father.
father. So the problem with this, that when this relationship doesn't work, this person is going to experience complicated grief. It's like
Oh,
she's losing two things at the same time.
it's becoming a cycle.
Yeah, it's becoming a cycle.
You have something to add?
Uh, when it comes to relationships and grief, I've had people I've like seen firsthand. People like do rebounds. It's like a coping mechanism, but it's a maladaptive like coping mechanism. Yeah, mostly you'll find like things that people do in terms of relationships and meeting people, and most you'll find like someone is in a toxic relationship and stuff like that, because that's how they cope, as in that's their current coping strategy. To them, they might see it as a like adaptive like coping mechanism, but to the people around them it's so maladaptive. Yeah.
Okay, now that we're talking about maladaptive coping mechanisms, and we've talked about rebounds or looking for someone who's like the person you have lost, what are some other maladaptive coping mechanisms?
So there are many maladaptive coping mechanisms. There are people who resort to drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I have close friends. I have some doctors right now who are really drinking a lot. So there are people who tend to drink a lot. There are people who tend to direct their grief towards feeding, and they really eat a lot until they become obese. I've seen that. I've seen that in my client. I've also seen those people who develop self-harm behaviors.
Okay.
I've seen that those people just cut themselves. I've seen that happening. I've also seen those people who tend to now even change, even profession. You can find like somebody used to be active, somebody used to be social. Now that is gone. They now they just prefer to sit alone, to stay alone. They want to talk to people. They also do, those people who do what you call emotion numbing. Emotion numbing. They don't express their emotion. When you ask them, "Hi, how are you?" "I'm just okay." "Niko sawa, I'm good." But in real sense, inside them, they are burning. So there are those people who cope by suppressing their their emotions. Ni sawa. There are also people who decide to detach. You see, and also there's something that you have mentioned we call sexual perversion. There are those people who get gratification of how to deal with their grief by just looking for sex. So these people will not be satisfied. They'll become just have sex so that they can feel good, which is very, very maladaptive because you can expose yourself to diseases, things like that.
So the maladaptive ways of coping are just us avoiding feeling the natural emotions. Yeah. Okay. So do you think our current generation, kwanza, before I ask, what generation are you? Are
I'm
you
a
in?
millennial.
You're a millennial, Gen Z. Gen Z. Okay. So do you think our current generation grieves differently from previous generations?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think with our generation, with technology is a game changer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a game changer because at the moment you see, like, initially during grief, it was a big thing. Like people could go home culturally, people could sell those things that belong to that person, people could inherit a wife. Things used to be to happen like that those days. But at the moment, things don't happen like that. Right now, if I have issues to do with grief, I'll go see a psychologist.
Yeah.
You see, I'll go see a therapist. I'll do an online therapy. I'll like as in we have also with the technology, you have the resources there. You can get just how people cope with grief. We have the documentaries to do with grief. So at the moment and in the past, it's totally different.
Different, yeah. I also feel like people in our generation tend to use dark humor as a coping mechanism. Yeah, like something bad can happen, something heavy can happen, but you'll still find a way to make it funny.
Okay, you can comment about that.
Yeah, talking about dark humor, we all know of Tiffany. Her name is Tiffany. She's a comedian in the US, and she says that one of the ways that she copes like with grief is like making jokes about like the loss of a grandmother. As in, I feel we're in a generation where people have normalized so many things when it comes to dark humor. You've seen people giving each other banters at you, so many things in terms of banters, but it's dark humor. In some sense, it's dark humor, but being put and packaged into like banter, because that's how they cope in that particular way. So I feel that's major and common
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, it's major and common. And also the way you said back in the past, people would
Mm,
park, go home. I
mm,
feel like
mm,
our parents
mm,
don't really meet us when we are grieving, because their methods
mm,
of grief are like
mm,
not dealing. Some
mm,
don't deal with it, and some don't understand that you can make
mm,
dark jokes and move forward. So there's like a disconnect between the two generations when it comes to grief.
maybe what I can say also about that, in the past, you're not supposed to cry. That was a sign of
Weakness, yeah,
weakness, you
yeah.
see. But in this generation, we feel like crying is the best thing that you can do. My thoughts about the humor, I don't know. I don't know if it's working. I don't know. Me, I feel like it's just postponing the problem or trying to mask the problem. Me, I feel like the best way of dealing with grief is just facing those
Emotions.
emotions. Yeah, just break down. You're human. Just break down. Just cry. Yeah, just take time off. Do all those things. But I think this shortcut that we are doing, it's bringing a lot of problems than good. That's my thoughts.
Okay. So,
Agreed.
oh, you have something to say?
No.
Oh, okay. So there's this thing when whatever you're grieving, whatever loss you're dealing with, people often will tell you you should be over it by now. Like you could go back to your friend for the same thing that you've been grieving for a while, and they're like, they might not even tell you, but you can see it from their faces. They're like, mm-mm, Ujawai move on from this thing. So because you two guys are medics, from a clinical level and from a personal level, is there something like being over your grief?
What I can say about that, I believe as far as grieving is concerned, time is the best healer. Time is the best healer. I don't think you can be over grief. You cannot be over grief because if my mom died, my mom died. You see, I cannot be over it. It's a memory that is there. You see, just maybe changing how you view it, because most clients, when clients come for therapy, what you want to do is just to change how they view it. You see, instead of looking at those negative memories, those bad things, we only tell them, can you focus on the positive things? Can you look at the things that your mom taught you? Can you look at things that this boyfriend did with you? Can you focus on them? The memory, the positive memories, you see. But we cannot assume that the gap is gone. It
Yeah.
cannot be gone. It's just like a scar, you see. But we can make a tattoo out of the scar, and the scar will look good, you see.
Yeah.
So it's just us, I think, focusing on the positive part of it. But the most important thing, I think, is accepting that grief is a process. It's not an event, you see. And also accepting the fact that we grieve different. Yeah, those are things that people don't know. There are sometimes there's this client that I'm currently seeing. So this client, during the time of grieving, she was the one who was responsible
Responding.
for everyone, you see. So she was responsible for everyone. Right now the kid is sick, the kid is in ICU, and now everything is coming back now to her, and she wants to attempt suicide. The boyfriend has now decided to left her because she feels like he feels like this lady was not giving me that emotion during that time, you see. So right now she wants to take her life away, you see. So what I can say is that we need to acknowledge the loss is there, and we need to go through all those stages of grief, you see. And let's not be in a rush. And I think that's even what we are trying to create here, awareness, is that if somebody is grieving, just give that person time to grieve. And that's why even at work, we are given time off.
Yeah.
We go and grieve. Let's not look for that shortcut to grieving, because there's no shortcut
There's
for
no
grieving.
shortcut for grieving.
Okay, as for me, I'll say Grief is like a stone. It's like you're holding, grief is like holding a stone, but you cannot throw this stone away,
Okay.
but you just get stronger at like carrying
Carrying
the
the stone. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, you don't just throw it. And I like what Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the author of Death and Dying, says. She says like the reality of grief is that the reality is that you will grieve forever, but at the same time you will heal and you will rise up again. I like that statement, as in even after all these tragedy okay, yeah, and all these things that we struggle with in terms of losing things, losing people, losing things that we value the most, at the end of the day, we'll get better at moving on. It's like you're getting better at moving on, but there's still like that remembrance of like something that you hold so dear. Because I can't tell someone just because your mom died, you should just forget about your mom. You can't tell someone that.
Yeah.
Because that's their mom. Every Mother's Day, they'll be like, everyone is saying Happy Mother's Day. And my mom isn't here for Happy Mother's Day. So, as in, it's just something like you learn along the way how to hold it dear to yourself, and you just get stronger. I don't know how,
But you do.
but somehow you'll just get stronger at like holding it deeper.
So, what I like to say, or what I've learned myself, is that grief does not shrink. What you do is you grow around it.
Exactly.
So you're just growing around it. It doesn't shrink. It's there, but you're the one who's growing and growing and growing, and that's what you guys have basically said. So, uh, has grief changed? Because I believe you people deal with these things all the time. So, has grief changed the way you love people around you?
Okay, that is an interesting question. Ideally, us as a therapist, we are trained differently. From our training, what you're taught is that we are able to have like boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries. We need to have clear boundaries in a sense that when I'm a psychologist, I'm a psychologist. When I'm seeing client, I'm seeing client. When I left there, I'm not a psychologist, I'm somebody else. You see. So we have been taught on how to detach with our clients. You see, we have been taught to be able to at least empathize with the client, but not sympathize with the client. You see, by empathy, you just journey with the client. You journey with them. You put yourself in their shoes. You see, but at the end of the day, after putting yourself in their shoes, you leave them. You see, you don't work with them.
You don't
With
work
them. But as much as I've seen most of my colleagues, they carry it at home, and it really causes a lot of problem with them. You see, another thing is that we also go through therapy, which is very very important. I personally go through therapy. I'm seeing once in a month I have to go to do supervision, so that is happening to me and it's helping me at least detach from all this.
Okay.
Another thing is also that we also have life out of therapy room. We also have life outside there. We are people.
Yeah.
We are people's father, so we need to focus on other things in our life. But I know it takes a toll on us because there are days that things are bad. There are days that you can lose 4 patients in one day, you see, and you have done loss and grief, all those loss and griefs in one day, you see. So there are those days that are a bit extreme, but when you get through those days, what we normally do, at least we can ask time off. Our employers my employer understands that, and at least they give me time to go off, then I can come back. That's what I can say.
Currently, in terms of me, okay, I've debriefing has been so helpful because you're saying everything and anything, and everyone is like so they're non-judgmental towards you and what you feel at that particular place in terms of the people you've seen for the day. I'm yet to go for therapy, but I'll go for therapy.
So you
Yeah.
said debriefing. Yeah. Okay. So, what's an unconventional tool or an unconventional way that you've seen people work around their grief? Something that's not conventional.
You've seen people like write letters to like people who've passed on, or people like they love, or things that they loved, like their cats, as in just writing about the unfinished businesses. You can like, you've seen like, I've seen like there's a certain like, people have started like a way of writing like letters to certain people, their loved ones and such people. I've seen that working for people. You can like write a letter to your cat, I loved you and stuff. And if your cat like died today, and maybe you wanted to like cuddle with your cat, you can write like a letter to your cat or any other person or any other thing that you lost, as in it's like you're physically, it's like empty chair technique, but in this case it's like you're like writing, it's like we are going old school. Yeah, yeah,
That's your unconventional way. Yeah, writing letters.
What I can say, it's like, this thing is not easy.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
it's heavy.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's difficult. So what you can do, we can just try. There are ways of letting that energy go.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people gymming.
Yeah. Do you feel like at some point you can go to the gym and now start avoiding
No,
instead of
as in for this case, what you do, like we can, let me talk about boxing.
boxing?
Yeah, there are people who can go hit it and can hit. You know about grief. When you see those faces, there's that face where you have anger.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
Yeah.
So if I get my client and my client is in that face of anger, I just need to find a way of channeling this anger. How can I get around this anger? You see. If I see my client maybe probably is in the face of denial, what I'll do, the conventional way that I'll do, I'll ensure that the client has been able to see the body.
Mm-hmm.
You see.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see the body, you get out of that
Denial.
denial. You see. If I can see, depending on the face that the client is, if the client is depressed, I'll do a therapy that works on depression. You see, so
Okay.
I meet my client
Where
at the
they're
face the
at
client is
is-
at. Yeah.
So that's your unconventional way. Conventional.
Yeah.
I had asked
Unconventional
unconventional.
way. Okay,
Yeah.
unconventional way. Hey, I don't want to talk about that, but I know that, personally or for my clients,
Wait, generally.
generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I think unconventional way is what she has talked about, maybe writing letters. But I normally ask myself, how effective is it? The effectiveness of it. I've also see people doing weird things like there. Okay, there are people who want to keep maybe clothes of their loved one. Okay, I don't advocate for that personally. I don't. But I know there are people who want to keep the clothes, they want to keep their picture or whatever. There are people who do that. But me, I see it as a reminder. See, so personally, in fact, when I'm dealing with my clients, I advocate personally to get rid of those things.
Okay.
Yeah, me, that is my thoughts.
That's your unconventional
Yeah, me, I
way.
think that is unconventional.
Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I would like to ask you if you would like to rewire or to rewrite the sorry, if you'd like to rewire or rewrite how society view grief. How would you do that, or what would you say on that?
What I can say, as far as the society is concerned, there's a lot of stereotyping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way people view it culturally, I think those are barriers by there, and that's why we are struggling with complicated grief. Because I'd gone for home. I normally do home visits sometimes. For most of my patients are palliative patients, so they are very sick. They cannot even come to clinic sometimes. And sometimes you see like, the family telling the firstborn, you have to be strong, you don't have to cry. Others are looking at you. You see, so those aspects, they really make grief to become even a bigger problem.
Okay.
You see. So what I can say about that is that the society should take note that grieving is a natural way, is the better way. Like, let's allow people around us to express their emotions. If somebody is sad, let that person be sad. If somebody is wants to cry, let that person just cry.
Cry.
What we need to do is not talk too much to them, but what we just need is to be there for them. Just be
Just
there for someone.
just hold the space for them to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
wherever they are
yeah.
at.
Before COVID, we used to be encouraged to hug, yeah, to hold one another.
Yeah.
But after COVID, now that is gone. But that was good. At that time, I remember I used to be in Alexandria sometimes back, and we used to have those losses, and you could hug somebody. Just that hug could make them feel good, could make them feel warm. You see, and a hug, you don't have to be a psychologist to offer a hug. You see,
You can hug
yeah,
anyone.
you can hug anyone. Just hug. You know, there are those hormones that are activated with touch. You see, so if you activate those hormones, at least the grief can be a bit easy. So also something that I can talk about the society that is important, especially as far as boy child is concerned. Please, 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 let's be mindful. Let's be mindful to this boy child since they're also human. They also have
Emotions.
emotions. You know, the society has given a lot of attention to the female gender. They feel like you guys need to be given a lot of time to process and deal with your grief, but us no. But no, we're also human. A loss is a loss to us. If a father has died, I've also lost a father. That's what I can say as far as society is concerned.
Okay.
In terms of society and just culture, I'd I'd like to say I like the Western culture, the Western Kenya culture, where like people, when it's time to like grieve and loss of something, people are all over the place. They are expressing themselves how they feel about that particular loss, and that's so good because I feel like in that side it's easier for people to process the emotions better compared to where I come from. Oh my god. Where I come from, people don't process the emotions. People go see the body, you just keep quiet, go bury the body and do certain things. And it's not like, I feel like it's not effective enough because most people bottle their emotions because they do not have like that sense of like this is what I'm supposed to do to grieve, as in they don't know, there is no longer like sense of grieving, there is no longer like a way to like move because you're used to like the person is gone, we lia leo kidogo and tomorrow we move on, as in. But in this other side, I've watched like TV and stuff, and people are all over the place. You can see someone lying down, shouting, crying, expressing themselves, and that I feel for some reason that is something that we should try and embrace. We don't have to entirely like embrace the old culture, but we can take bits from it because it's a nice way to for people to like let go and like yeah.
Okay. So as a society, we should normalize holding space for each other and also not suppressing. Expressing is the key to letting go. Yeah. Okay. So do you have anything you'd like to share? Any comment? Any?
Okay, what I can just say is that there's a way out of it. There's a way out of grief. There's help. Yeah, there's help, and I'm there to offer the help. So if you are struggling with grief, you can get me. I'm around. You can come either at Eldoret Oncology Associate, you'll see me. You can come at Eldoret Hospital, Oak Tree. You can come. This help. That is what is very, very key, is that you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to carry this burden alone. There's somebody who can help you out. There's somebody who can listen you without judging you. And another thing that I can also give you assurance is that we are bound by confidentiality. So everything that you come during therapy remains there at therapy. And you have also that right of suing us. If your information is outside there, you just come, then our license is revoked. So you can come in a safe space where you'll be sure that you'll be able to process the grief. And also let's know one thing, that therapy is not just a one day thing. You know, most most clients come to see me and they tell me, now after seeing you, all my problems will disappear. That's not a fact, you see. So what we normally do in therapy, first of all, we need you to feel free. So we create that conducive environment for you to share and express your emotions. Then you're able to identify those problems that you're struggling with. Then after identifying those problems, we're able to look for a treatment modality that better works for you, because the people are different.
Yeah.
There's somebody that you'll do CBT and you'll get results. There's somebody who'll do person centered, you'll get the results. There's somebody that you'll do motivation interviewing and you'll get the results. You see, so you can come. We have many treatment modalities. We have EMDR. There are many. You just come. We'll do what you call. We normally do what you call psychometric evaluation, where you're able to assess the client, so that you're able to say, is this client depressed? Is this client is this client anxious? Or if it is depression, what is the severity? Is it mild? Is it moderate? Or is it severe? Is it severe? So we're able to do psychometric evaluation. Then based on that, now we can, and also based on the history that you have presented with, we're able to come up with a treatment plan. You see, and you guys come for therapy. Ideally, by the way, in foreign countries like in UK, you're told that one of the requirements, even before getting a job, you need to see a psychologist. You see, so because we are dealing with many things, we have a lot of unresolved business in our life that are just pending. They're just waiting for their time to erupt. So you just come, then at least we can work out those issues. And there's somebody was telling me something very interesting, that I don't have a problem. Why should I come for therapy? We all have problems, all of us. I even have my own problems. I also go for therapy. So let's make an appointment at least with a psychologist, even one session, just one session. Then at least we can tell you how things are. That's my parting shot.
That's your parting shot. McKenna?
Okay, I'd like to finish with what Queen Elizabeth said. She said, like, grief is the price that we pay for love.
Yeah.
As in, I feel that is so like, I don't know how to express it, but grief being a price that you pay for love means that it's about time we learn to normalize grief and like take grief like any other thing and any other process of life. Cause grief will come and we'll have to like move along with grief. And I'd also like encourage everyone, including myself, like go for those therapy sessions, go for that therapy. It's so essential, and you don't have to have a problem for you to solve one. Sometimes therapy can be a way of like self-recognizing yourself. Yeah, a friend of mine went for therapy, and she's always like talking about how nice therapy is, how nice like therapy uncovers the hidden spots that you don't see as a person, how therapy is like as a way of like turning pages and writing the clear blank pages, and it's a way like you tend to see things differently. And I like the person she's becoming after going for therapy. So I'd encourage, like, let's normalize like grief, let's normalize therapy, let's normalize like doing things that make us better human beings, let's normalize that things that uplift us and make us beautiful, amazing human beings full of hope and love. Thank you.
Okay. You know, you guys, when you talk about going to therapy, it's just a light comment. We talked about the way therapy is not accessible for everyone. So I think for me, what I'd encourage people is just find things that root you. If you're, for me, maybe believe in God. I'm a Christian, so I'm rooted in Christ. So for me, when I'm grieving, I will seek my savior. So yeah, this has been a very heavy conversation.
Yeah,
And also
yeah.
because you two are psychologists, I wasn't prepared for the direction the talk took, but I believe it has been an educative session for everyone watching us on Podtail TV. So we have come to the end of today's episode.
Maybe before we finish, we need to give big up to the podcast. I'm really happy that you guys invited us. let's not appreciate you guys, and we hope that you will call us again. No, you'll call me again. Let me talk about myself. You know, in psychology, eye language is very, very important. Hope you guys invite me again. I hope she also want to come.
Yeah,
but maybe she'll speak once.
We'll invite you definitely.
It was nice being here. I loved the session and the talk and stuff. Yeah, and hoping to be here again to
Oh, yeah.
talk more things concerning humans
Okay.
and life.
Okay. I'm very interested in psychology, so I already know what I'll do. So yeah, it has been good. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.